I'm live. It says I'm live.
It's say you're live on YouTube. Yep, we're live. I can see us.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Crypto Weekly Review. I got a special controversial guest with me today. This is the real HexJoker. How you doing today, man?
Doing fantastic. How are you?
Pretty good. All right, man. So there's been a lot of drama, a lot of FUD. Dude, Hex is at a penny. What the hell is going on? You know, I've been in crypto since like 2017, and I think the Hex story is one of the most interesting stories of a coin that I have seen in my like 6 years in the crypto game. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to try to get some inside scoops. We're going to try to put some rumors to rest and see what's going on, especially with the SEC. So
Okay.
So tell me a little bit about how you got into crypto. Like, what's your background? How does somebody become the HexJoker?
So, in terms of cryptocurrency, I was in crypto for quite some time. Okay, I remember Bitcoin when it was $200. In and out of the community, try to get Bitcoin back then. Didn't fucking know how to do it. I gave up. Stupid me. I should have bought Bitcoin at $200.
That's a lot of people's story.
But I didn't know how to get into it, and that's the problem. Like I tried to get into it, and it just didn't work, right? And for whatever reason, it was just so complicated back then, and that's when people were using Bitcoin for fucking, like illegal shit on Skid Row, right?
Right.
You know what Skid Row is, like fucking drugs and shit. And it was like that, everyone's like, oh, you only want Bitcoin to go ahead and buy weird shit online. But then, like, after a while, I kind of got, into crypto when Tron first was released. I remember being in chat rooms, people speaking about Tron being the next big thing. People were so, crazy about it. I really didn't understand it. Dragon Coin was another one that I was into, and then BitConnect.
So and, were you a streamer? Were you the HexJoker before the whole thing, before you got on ramped into Hex? And
so yes, I was the HexJoker. Well, I wasn't the HexJoker. I was the real Joker. So what I did was, I did live streams. I was quite big on DLive. I was friends with the guy that was known on Dr. Phil by the name of Goose Wayne Batman. So like his shtick was that he was the real Batman. And then I eventually became the real Joker. So essentially I became his Joker, if that makes sense.
Were you guys like gaming or something?
No, like, well, kind of. Like we're doing Grand Theft Auto games. We were doing, just shit for his community. But he was more like a meme guy. Like he liked to be like memey and shit. So that's when like the meme culture started getting like big and stuff. And that's when he got his popularity as a live streamer. And that went well. I did content. I was I was actually in charge of a pretty big gaming community that I made. On a video game called Gary's Mod. Had like 200,000 unique users on my website, and that kind of felt.
Oh, sorry. How did you get onboarded? How did you translate that into Hex? Was it Hexo? Did he onboard you into Hex?
Yeah. So like I was streaming. I was live streaming on DLive. Again as probably the biggest live streamer of its time, and he found an opportunity to try to get Hex out to the masses. So he onboarded me live. And when he showed me, like, I wanted to get back into crypto eventually, and he showed me Hex. And I remember seeing him, like, just live streaming. Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, this is pretty cool. Maybe I want to get into this, right? Yeah. And then he onboarded me, and I went full fucking throttle into it. And I was onboarding people live as the biggest streamer, bigger than him at the time, on DLive. And then it flipped because, Hex started getting more popular, and then he became the biggest live streamer. So, but like, again,
what price was Hex at the time?
A third of a penny.
A third of a penny. Okay. So you got in early enough to see some really good gains.
Yeah. Well, so I staked.
How long did you stake for, man? Did you do a 5-5-5?
Oh, I did. I did 5, 15, 10. I mean, I have a whole bunch of stakes. So I didn't really see many gains.
Right.
I did have some liquid hex that I could have seen gains with, about like, a good amount. But what I did with that hex was I didn't cash it out. I sacrificed it.
Oh,
so
shit.
yeah, so I sacrificed for Pulse Chain and Pulse X. So if, say, Pulse Chain and Pulse X would have been out by now, I would have been, oh my God. And if it would have been successful, I would have been a multi-millionaire. For sure.
So what was your whole thing? Like, what enticed you into it? Was it really Hexo? Was it the community? You were already a streamer. These guys are streamers. Was it that kind of thing? Or did you really drink the Kool-Aid of Richard Hart? Like, were you really into it? Or like...
Yeah. I was more focused on helping people. Like, that was my goal, because I seen what Hex was doing for people. I seen what it was doing in my bags. Like, you see the fucking numbers skyrocketing. You're like, holy fuck, I want to tell everybody about this, and I want everybody to experience this. So my mindset was, if I can help people become millionaires, I'm being a good person. Right. And not only that, but if I took it a step further, because the Hexicans were doing they're, chanting, oh, Lambos, this, fucking, fancy houses and shit. So I was like, all right, well, if I could take it a step further and not just help them get money, but teach them how to be productive human beings, then I'm doing humanity a favor, right? Because humanity fucking sucks.
That's the mantra of Hex. And it was really good in the beginning. I got into Hex about a couple months in, but I had been following Richard Hart for a few months prior. I'd listen to his 3-hour live streams. I thought he was a smart guy. I thought he was entertaining. I come from the old world crypto, where you just hodl Bitcoin and all altcoins are is just to acquire more Bitcoin vibe, So everybody in that group said he was a scammer, but I enjoyed him as an entertainer and as a funny person, So after a couple months in, I started getting in and getting this starting stakes and stuff like that, and it worked out very, very well for me. In that era, we were always like, hey, that was the revolution. It was like, hey, this is real DeFi, this is true crypto, the maxis are wrong, they're trying to censor us, and it's crazy because I watched it go from that to becoming the maxis, to becoming as toxic, if not worse, toxicity levels than the maxis. You know what I mean? And I attribute some of that to Richard, because I think that he is by nature a maxi, and I think that's spilled down into this. It just became a maxi of Hex.
His own shit.
Right. So I find your persona very interesting. I've seen a lot of your videos, even some of your early ones before the big fallout and everything. And what is the meaning of your persona? Like, is it just for show? Is it entertainment? Is there a deeper meaning? What does being the Joker mean to you?
It's everything. It's literally everything. The persona of the Joker is an idea. It's not a person. It's not a comic book character. It's an idea. The Joker is a suppressed individual that society essentially suppressed. It is it's the depiction of the other side of the coin. It is the critical thinking element of humanity. It's wow, here's the uncomfortable truth. I don't want to look at it. I want to be saved by a fucking bat or whatever the fuck, the heroes, so to speak, the popular figure that everyone loves and adores. But in reality, the popular figure is a billionaire fucking playboy who's probably taking advantage of a whole bunch of fucking people, right? Humanity itself is essentially controlled by the 1% of the world. It's what it is, right? And we can't deny that. The media and everything like that tells you who the hero is. Since you're a child, you are indoctrinated into this idea.
Yeah, everything was a lie, dude.
Right. And the Joker is essentially humanity uprising and saying, we had enough. And that's what I am.
I get it. So to you, it's like the anti-hero of the narrative, right?
Right. Well, I like being the villain, because the villain is what the 1% hate. I want to be that thing that you hate. And then not only that, but I want to be that thing that makes everything change around you because you done fucked all of humanity into believing what you want them to believe just so you can enslave them.
So when did you first start seeing trouble in Hex? Like when did all of this, because you kind of got onboarded and things were going well for you. I watched you on streams with everybody. I saw you on Discord Syndicate. You're pretty well accepted with everybody. What happened to you? Like where did it go wrong?
I don't think it went wrong. I think it changed. I think people's true colors started showing themselves, and I did what I do best. I exposed the fucking lies. I let people know what these people are about. When they started flexing in the Lambos and shit like that while we were on dips, and I said, hey guys, this is kind of poor optics. Like, people are feeling wrecked right now. We shouldn't be doing this. They all jumped on me because they wanted to feel special. And this was all when they did that whole bit in HexCon 2022, or not 2022, sorry, 2021, I think. When we started declining, we were like 30 something cents, 40 cents. People were feeling wrecked. And I had been vocal about it. And I said, this isn't what we're about. We need to be catering. We need to be reassuring. We need to be, out there helping people as they are feeling this pain. Mm-hmm. They didn't care about that. A lot of the people, and I'm going to say a name. Can I say names?
All right, let's go ahead.
Okay. A lot of people within Legion VC and Motley's crew, okay, who essentially control the narrative of Hex, and they own hexmerch.com. These are the people, innocent until proven guilty, of course. No slander and all that stuff. This is just my opinion. Mm-hmm. But my observation is that they wanted to be the center, the focal point of everything. And when I went and I started saying, hey, you guys are in these rented Lambos saying that Hex retired you.
Were they rented?
They were all rented, yeah. So rented, they were doing that during HexCon, the second HexCon. And it was poor optics and it looked bad. And a lot of people started getting upset about that. And my DMs were flaring up. Why the fuck are these people doing this? I lost a bunch of money. This is fucking bullshit. Like, yeah, the people were feeling really, really hurt. Like true Hexicans, right? That were holding on. Like the warehouse workers, the fucking cashiers, that this is their second chance at life. Mm-hmm. They were DMing me saying how bad this was. And then when I said that and I spoke out, they all piled on me like a pack of dogs. And at that point in time, I knew what was happening. The fact that the Hexicans in that group were attempting to be the next 1%, and they could give a fuck about anyone else.
Do you think that it was like, everybody says Hex is like some kind of a cult or like some kind of a church? Is that the vibes you were getting like when you were dealing with the OGs? Was that your perception that this is like some kind of a cult, or like what was it? What was it like interacting with these guys? You said you went to some of these meetups and HexCon and stuff. Like, who are these people? Are they who they seem they are? They seem like nice guys that, want the best for everybody. So
Hexicans on Twitter, at least on Twitter, not many are like this these days, but they became very inflated and very cult-ish during like the 15 to 20 cent mark, where they were trying their best to just beat on that drum and say, Hex is great, Hex is great, Hex is great. We love Richard Hart. And they started doing things that were weird during this outrage marketing.
It was weird.
They were talking about Richard Hart's cock. They were talking about like how great he is while he's just flexing all this money in front of people. And it's disgusting. It's really disgusting. And they claim this outrage marketing is the best, but in reality, it's negative price performance during the time that he's been doing this the whole time. And one can argue it's bear market, but we're dumping harder than any other coin. Okay, we're dumping really fucking hard.
It's 95.6% right now. But I do want to add to that a little bit on as far as the outrage marketing. He always claims he calls the top on the day. He's the best guy. He told people to get out of Celsius, which he did. He has a lot of good messages. He has a lot of good things to say. And he always says, why do these people have more subscribers than me? I called the top. I told you to get out of Celsius. I told you to hold your own keys. Why am I not more popular? Well, I would say he had that growth on Twitter in spite of outrage marketing, not because of it. I really think Richard Hart could really reach his full potential you know, because I think he has some good messages. He has some good things. I'm not going to deny that, you know. I didn't stick around for this long, you know, because I hated the guy or anything like that. But it's just he just went off the deep end and had like this midlife crisis thing going on, you know, where he's like started to buy purses and doing all these things. And I think the growth that he shows on Twitter is in spite of that. I think that if he wasn't doing all that crazy stuff, if he was just that t-shirt Hexakin libertarian guy or whatever the hell he is that wants good and freedom of money and freedom of movement, if he was just that guy, if he just went full like Charles Hoskinson mode, you know, I think he would have
won. He would have won. He would have won.
He would have won. Yeah,
he would have won.
Really,
100%. He would have. Yes. So Richard Hart, okay, if you're listening, or if anybody that likes Richard Hart is listening, which there's probably quite a bit. Richard Hart is the main reason why, in my opinion, Hex didn't do as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the bear, yeah, for sure.
So, you know, first off, the lie about Pulse Chain launching in 2 weeks. That's a problem, right? A lot of people put a lot of money and a lot of faith into that, right?
Yeah, me too. I did too.
Hex, me too. Pulse Chain was supposed to be the solution to the Ethereum gas fees. Since he did not launch it back in May, we have been front run by several different chains. Okay, even Ethereum itself became a proof of stake system. Okay, so we didn't beat anyone. All of our selling points are gone. Okay, maybe faster throughput, if that, right? If that even exists, right? We have yet to see it. He actually scrapped the code. From what I know, he scrapped the code and restarted it all and just started forking ETH 2.0. Okay? So there's a lot of questions there as to why would he not do that, right? There's also, you know, right now in Pulse X, there's only front-end staking.
No.
I mean, there's a lot of questions. Why are things not being developed? Why are we just? And I know he said, I know what his argument is. It's like, oh, you know, it's code. Code is hard, but it's like, dude, you got $1 billion fucking, right, for these sacrifices. Why not pay more devs? Why not go?
I don't think he can. I think Eric Wall had a good point. I don't think a lot of devs like good Ethereum devs want to work with him because of his reputation. And I could say / you know, some of his antics recently in the bear market, which I think were tasteless. Look, I'm not trying to bash on this guy. This isn't a, like, I'm not trying to make a bash Hex video. I'm not trying to just diss Richard Hart, but we have to look at life through reality. Like, right?
Well, he calls himself a fucking genius, right? Why don't you fucking make it through someone else? Why not, you know, if you're, you know, why not make this without the name Pulse Chain, have another face to your development team instead of you, be a mysterious figure in the background, right?
Yeah.
And have that person pay the bills, right? Like, you can still hire these people at a good price, and even if they're not a part of that, okay, even if they're not, you know, understanding of who you are, they can still just work and put in their best work and make a ton of fucking money. You're telling me that a developer, a top tier developer, if say for instance they're declining, right? Maybe they're charging $250,000, $300,000 a year. If you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna go and triple that. They're gonna be like, fuck yeah.
They're gonna show up.
Right? They don't have to know who the fuck you are, but you're claiming to be a genius, but you can't figure out a way to get developers.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So we've had you've had a massive falling out, obviously, you know, in the Hex community. What would you like? Now you were saying that it's because you were calling out the BS, the flexing, the outrage marketing, all of that shit. I agree with you, is tasteless. Now on the flip side of the coin, to play devil's advocate, they said that it's because you were shilling other coins to other people. So can you explain like what's that all about? Because I really don't know. I honestly don't.
No problem, man. It was their way of getting rid of me because I was a squeaky wheel. That's really what it was. They couldn't stand me because I kept putting it out that Legion, and because Legion's in control of all the narrative, right? They have control of a lot of the streamers. Again, they're part of Hex merch. They, you know, you're going to see people surrounding Motley and his team. They're all the influencers of Hex. So, as I was being outspoken about them, and I was saying, hey, these people are fucking being this way, right? They didn't like that too much.
What were they doing? What were they doing though? Because I really want to hammer.
They were flexing. They held a sack pool, a sacrifice pool for Pulse X to fucking gamify the system, which is illegal, by the way. That's a security. They do. They jump on people who have a difference of an opinion. So they were cyberbullying people, and I was seeing all of it happen. They try to do it to B Roots. They were trying to do it to B Roots. They were trying to do it to many, right? So what they were doing was they were running slander campaigns on people. So this way they can suppress other people's voices, censoring people for their own narrative to be pushed. During HexCon, the second HexCon, they didn't even attend. They just had their own thing off to the side with all of their banners and shit. And what they were doing is they were vampire attacking HexCon and making it less than what it was.
Oh, because they're Pulse guys.
Well, no.
Why would they want to do that?
Okay, because it's essentially siphoning off of an event, right? So what they did was, hey, there's HexCon going on in Vegas, right?
Right.
Well, we're going to have our thing off to the side. And while HexCon's going on in Vegas, we're going to fucking pull people to our parties. And we're going to make money off of them. And they're going to buy our merch. And they're going to know about us. And we're going to take a bunch of pictures and post it online.
So it's a subgroup within a subgroup. So it's like a sub.
So essentially what they were doing was they weren't helping Hex. They were helping themselves. They did the same thing for PulseCon. PulseCon, there was a bunch of things built around PulseCon. They slandered the fuck out of T-Money. Okay? They slandered that dude.
Oh, and I remember.
While they were attacking him, and Hexo was part of this too. While they were talking shit about him, while he was asking them, hey, look, you took $600,000 for this fucking useless NASCAR event that occurred, right? That nothing fucking happened. Even Richard Hart said nothing happened for that. It was good fucking images that they took pictures of a Hex car. Okay?
Yeah.
No positive price performance because of that. What happened? Fucking, they talk shit about T-Money. During PulseCon, everybody wasn't engaged really in PulseCon. I mean, the OGs weren't, right? There was a good turnout. Okay, it was a great event. I was there. But people were more interested in the parties around it. And I'm like, why don't you just try your best to fucking promote Pulse Chain? Instead of doing your own thing and fucking holding cabanas and fucking fashion shows and all this stupid shit that nobody fucking cared but them. Okay, that there were these their own self-proclaimed fucking celebrities. Okay, why the fuck didn't you help Pulse Chain or PulseCon? So because their mindsets are about their own fame and their own fucking pockets. That's why. I'm the righteous one. I put that shit out. I was the one that was speaking out against it while they were slandering my name, but people called me crazy.
So who were you the closest to? Who would you say that you talked to personally and were friends with the most out of the group?
I don't want to put their name out.
Okay, but
because I still like them a lot.
Okay, so who's your favorite? Nah, I'm just kidding. That's okay. So but Hexo turned against you, and that was a big deal because when Hexo turned, he was straight up every stream talking shit about you. You know what I mean?
Who?
He's the one that on-ramped you. So I mean,
Hexo.
How'd that make you feel?
Annoyed. Because I didn't do anything to that guy. I literally did nothing to him. All I did was I talked about one coin. Okay, it was Saitama V3 because I knew the person that was directly affiliated with it, and I liked the theory of it. I liked exactly what it was doing. You hold it as people transact in it, you get USDC. So I was like, well, that's pretty fucking cool. So I talked about it in one tweet, and that made Hexo do what he did. There was more to it.
I think there was more to it. These guys already, they were done with you, and they were just looking to cut your throat one way or another. And that's a good way because, they're all maxis. They don't accept any other coin. And it makes sense, in a Pump of Mentals way, because if all of you bet the entire farm, everything that you have on one coin, you're going to defend it with all your might. You know what I mean? So Richards always says, don't diversify and things like that. So you stepped outside the narrative. You were asking questions. You were talking about another coin, and that's it. You got to be destroyed. You got to be kicked out of the inner circle, right?
Right. And together with again, the Legion narrative that they didn't like me and they wanted to get rid of me anyway. I mean, they were trying before that even happened. They were trying to be Hex Batman. Okay, that's what they were trying to do. I remember Lights Out, who's one of the lackeys, one of the circle jerk lackeys out there, that he's slobbing on that fucking Motley knob. He tried to be the Hex Batman, and he said, "Oh, he's gonna, the Joker always loses." Well, guess what? Lights Out. No, he doesn't, because Batman. Sure, he may put him in jail for a little while, but he always escapes.
Is this the source of all the trolling? Is it revenge? Is it anger? What's motivating you to keep sticking around in this community, staying here, and like continuing to troll? Like if these guys hate you, you hate them. Everything like went to hell. Basically, the price is a penny. Which, by the way, I sold 45 cents publicly and called that it was going to be a penny. It's literally a penny right now. But why stay? Why troll? Why revenge? And what is it? What motivates you?
Truth. It boiled down to truth, because people were being lied to. Richard Hart saying that Hex survived. Like, the fuck are you saying, bro? You're such an idiot. Like, anybody who fucking promotes that shit is a fucking idiot. You're deceptive on purpose. Say the fucking truth. We're down just like everybody else. It's a bear market. Say that. At least say that.
Right? Hexicans, I will say one thing. Look, I'm not trying to take sides or anything like that, but I will say Hexicans do have some deceptive, slimy tactics, and I think that these tactics are the reason why Hex has become the North Korea of crypto. No one fucks with it. CMC won't touch it. Everybody hates it. Richard's scammer of the year every year. You know what I mean? It's what we don't need to do all these slimy tactics. I think Hex itself is a really fun DeFi dApp, and it was revolutionary for its time. Like in the 2019 era, like, dude,
Richard Hart was a different Richard Hart back then.
It was. I will admit
Richard Hart was way fucking better back then. When he did this outrage marketing, he thought he could fucking flex and attack his own community. Bro, you're a piece of shit, Richard. You're fucking a piece of shit. The way that you fucking treat people, saying that girl's fucking body looked like the fucking skin of your cock, you're a piece of shit.
So do you think that, the one thing is I always told Richard is like, dude, the tact is the ability to make a point without making an enemy. Do you ever think like, maybe if you were a little bit more tactful, you could get your message across without inflaming everybody? Or is that the thing? You want to get everyone pissed?
So if you want to get everybody pissed, expect a pissed response, right? Look, not everybody could be Jake Paul. Jake Paul, that's what he does. He fucking pisses people off because people are just not going to like him, right? Richard Hart was actually likable. He was actually likable. He onboarded people and he got everybody together because he was actually fucking likable.
I agree.
Until he became self-inflated. And then he got this deity complex. The inner narcissist came out. He became a god. It's fucking stupid to call a man a god. Like,
no other man should do that ever. Just like on a bro code.
Well, like, even fucking Marco was like, "Oh, my kids see him as their hero," and I'm like, "Do you know what you're saying, dude? Like, what are you fucking saying? It's disgusting." In part, the Hexicans are to blame for the inflated version of Richard Hart. Calling him a god king and stuff. You're to fucking blame. You fed that fucking ego. While I was trying to suppress it and bring him to fucking reality where you're a human being like everybody else, you guys wanted that. And he became what you wanted. And he liked it. And every time he posts a fucking Louis Vuitton thing or whatever, flexing with your money, by the way, your money, that's not for freedom of speech. You guys are applauding him. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, the other thing is what the problem here is there's too many yes men. Like I always said, I've trolled Richard in a lot of videos, and it's a gentle, trolling, like boys talk shit to each other. And my point is that when you have too many yes men around you, they're not your real friends. Your real friends will be like, bro, what the hell are you doing, bro? Enough with the purses and shit.
But he gets rid of those, dude. He gets rid of those. If you speak out against Richard Hart, he's going to block you and alienate you. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they have a Telegram group somewhere where they show the blacklisted hexagons. And from my knowledge,
I'm on there for sure.
there is a Telegram group out there that they screenshot everything and they post it in there for like reference. So this way everybody could see it, and then like the influencer group will fucking get rid of them.
So the second part of my question to that is this, are you sticking around and trolling and doing all these things and exposing all this stuff? Are you doing it just to watch it burn? And second part of the question, and does the interior OG structure of Hex need to change or quote unquote burn down for things to move forward? And like, the crazy thing is, like, I've been through a couple cycles in crypto, and they always say, oh, Bitcoin died all of these different times. And I always say, well, it kind of did, because the next cycle is always so much different with so many different ideas, concepts, coins, and it kind of evolves. So like, does this for Hex to be reborn, does this whole toxicity of OG culture, censorship, Richard worship, does that need to burn down for this to go forward? Like, just
so I'm not doing this to watch it burn. I'm doing it because I believe everybody deserves the truth. They deserve all sides of every single part of the truth. Mm-hmm. You know, not just one perspective. Okay. In terms of the OGs and the OG culture, I believe that there's a shift in power right now. The OGs are dumping on your heads. They've already dumped a fuck ton on your heads. You have now found out that the OGs were deceptive, extremely deceptive to you. I vowed to do something which may or may not happen based upon if you guys are cool with it or not. But I vowed to get rid of the centralized figures kind of narrative of an OG or a founder or whatever. Because one thing that a lot of cryptocurrency they have in common is what fucks over a crypto is a combination of influencers and the fucking founder or the development team. Mm-hmm. If you find a way to remove that element, it becomes a little safer. Okay. Now, in terms of our OGs, look, they've done shit. They've done a lot of shit. And I'll even read off one of your comments. Go over Hexo allegedly dumping millions of Hex 8 days before he asked for donations. Okay. And that's true. He did. It's on chain. Okay. You see it on chain. He dumped a lot. I think it was $250,000 worth of Hex on your heads during a bear market. Hold on. Let me just finish this real quick.
Go ahead.
During a bear market where he's constantly telling people not to sell. Okay, you should stake, you should get your T-shares, all that stuff, while he's dumping on your fucking heads. And then, on top of that, he asked for more. And then, after he asked for more, he's like, and when he got caught by me, okay, I caught him. I said, well, why are you asking for more when you got all this money? And then he told people to stop donating to him. And then he came up with this theory of, oh, I'm just going to give this to all the people who got affected by the SEC lawsuit. I didn't get a dime of that, by the way.
Okay, so I just want to play devil's advocate just for a little bit, okay? So yeah. I did go through all of the wallets, and I did my own chain analysis. And what it was is like the Godwell wallet, right? And another wallet, both sent Hex to a different wallet, which then sent it to another wallet, which then dumped it, right? Isn't that what happened? Or is that the Godwell thing? No, that's the Godwell.
What we're talking the Hexo thing, Hexologist.
Do you know who the Godwell is?
I've had conversations with him.
Do you think he's going to be implicated in this whole, is he going to be pretty much like, he's going to be pretty public here if this SEC thing goes to an official complaint?
So the Godwell is an investor. Mm-hmm. I don't know who he is, but he's an investor. Currently, the current list of people who are involved in the SEC investigation was shown on that Wales, that big Twitter account, like and it has like 200,000 followers or whatever. It's like a whale. I talked
whale
I talked
charts
to
or something like that.
yeah, whales charts. I talk to that guy all the time, and that list is everyone from my knowledge. Could have gotten bigger since, but that's what I know.
Okay. Yeah. Back to the Hexo thing. I wasn't trying to cut you off. I was completely.
cool.
I was thinking about the God whale thing. That's another thing that you tweeted, which I went down the rabbit hole. I went fully on the rabbit hole with that, and it was connected to like the April something where there was a NASCAR race. It was like basically on the same day. Something that you tweeted. I went down a big rabbit hole on that. But yeah, so you're claiming that, and I don't know. I can't really co-sign, bro, because I really didn't do the analysis myself. But you're claiming that Hexo was dumping 200K and asking for money at 250,
250K. And then like, I think 4 or 8 days later, he asked for money to help with his lawyer fees in an investigation that's not even in court yet.
Okay.
So like, and he claimed that a retainer fee is like $10,000. And then like when asked about it, he backpedaled and said that he was going to give away the rest of the money to other people, eight other people. Okay. And the thing is, if you were going to give it away for, to 8 other people plus yourself, that's 90 grand you need, right? Because he claimed that the retainer fee is 10 grand. Well, he told people to stop giving money to that wallet when it only received like $20,000 or $30,000. So my question is, if he was planning on giving out $10,000 to another 8 people, why did he stop the donations? He should have kept it going. But the fact is, he wanted it for himself. And that is my opinion on the matter.
And like I said, I can't co-sign to that. I didn't look at that, but I mean, I will give you that it looks bad. And I don't know what Hexo's doing with his money, but I will tell you what I would do if I was a situation where I had a family and this shit's going, we're going sub a penny, bro. Like everybody knows at this point, the Hex is going down. So, and you got a family and you're like retired and you got these bills and shit. Now you got an SEC case, you're going to dump 200K so you can make it for a few years. If worst case scenario, you know what I'm saying? Well, get through the case, get through the fines, get all this stuff. I could see a situation where Hexo does do that. You know what I mean? And so, so that's the most I can give because I really don't want to jump on like the conspiracy part of it, but I can see a situation where Hexo would dump 250K.
So
if he's begging for money at the same time, it looks bad, bro. I'll admit that, but I don't know if that's.
Here's the problem. He fucking lied. He lied. Not only did he lie, but he's doing things to serve himself while he's painting this picture of being for the people and shit. Oh, I gave away the rest of.
Absolutely nice guy.
Well, it's a facade, just like Batman is supposed to be a hero, but yet he's a billionaire playboy, and he creates more fucking problems than he helps, right?
So are you claiming? So I will say a couple things. I've been doing this channel for a year. Obviously, I'm blacklisted for Hexicans, because I was trolling Richard. I was anti-outrage marketing and stuff like that. But at the same time, can divorce my feelings and still be a Hexican, but just on my, like with my wolf pack doing our own thing. But like, obviously, are you saying that Hexo was always nice to me and you like retweeted some of my stuff? I made a Hex watch face that's free that has a price tracker and shit. I posted it, he retweeted it. And even though I was like blacklisted by everybody and ignored, he was always decent to me. So it's hard for me to think that Hexo is not the person that he portrays himself to be. That's all.
It's hard for everyone to think that because he has like that family vibe. He's, posting. He fought
for the country. He was a Marine.
And I was a soldier and they didn't fucking matter. I'm still serving my country today.
Okay. That's the most eye-opening part of all of this because I don't know, man. I always thought that he was pretty cool. And I thought, I used to think he was the best guy in Hex. I was like, dude,
he's far from it. He's very deceptive. As a matter of fact, he's one of the ones that was cyberbullying and memeing T-Money the most. He was talking hella shit about T-Money. He was one of the reasons why PulseCon didn't do as well. Because he started building this narrative that T-Money was a fucking con man. But in reality, T-Money was putting together PulseCon to help Pulse Chain. He didn't try to contribute to that. He was actually a roadblock to that.
Yeah, I think that what they were trying to do at the time, I remember this era, I think what the OGs were trying to do is not bring any more attention to Pulse because it's late. You know what I mean? I think that's my personal opinion why
PulseCon was already a fucking thing. Like, you know, we all talked about it. Hexo talked, all the OGs talked about it before it was supposed to launch. And then when Richard Hart fucking, you know, said, well, no fucking Pulse chain in May.
Then it got scrapped.
I mean, the bills already were paid. Like the fucking venues were already like reserved. Okay. Like
I see another.
There was like $250,000 that was fucking put down already. Like, dude, Richard Hart cost so many people so much money with the fucking with the shit he put out. It's insane. You know, fucking Team Money lost a lot. A lot of the validators that were building for Pulse Chain when it was the first way of coding, they're gone now. They don't make sense, right? It's a whole different code now because he's forking now ETH 2.0.
So basically, you're saying I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm just trying to break this down. What I'm getting is PulseCon was supposed to happen mid-May, didn't work out. Now PulseCon is a bad look, and it got scrapped. And you're saying that T Money is the one that took the scapegoat. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
like,
what do you mean? Like Pulse Chain got scrapped and you know pushed to whenever. But the thing is, T Money was building for PulseCon. And the thing is,
he was going to put on the show, but he was like 500K short or something like that. Right?
Well, he was 300K short, and he was asking for 300K from the community, like the OGs and everybody, so we can make PulseCon a fucking crazy event that everyone wanted to go to, that enjoyed together, where we could fucking show that Pulse Chain is a real fucking thing. A lot of people lost so much faith in Pulse Chain after PulseCon wasn't as big as it was supposed to be. Because, you know, he had so many fucking speakers there. He had people with big fucking influence. He had the mayor of fucking Las Vegas there. Like, there was a lot of, like, pull. And if it would have went the way that it was supposed to go, dude, I mean, we were having, like, I think even Chris Brown was supposed to go. Like, it was crazy.
So yeah, that I remember watching that whole thing unfold. So now the big question, what everybody's worried about is this SEC thing. That's the biggest FUD. I mean, it's the kiss of death, you know, for a cryptocurrency. You know, they can literally just get you to shut it off or get you to whatever. You know what I mean? I know.
Yeah.
I know that Hex is super decentralized and blah blah blah. You know, there's I think there's a case. I think there's a situation where Hex can overcome it by being significantly decentralized, but there's also a bunch of shady shit that was going on. Everybody's kind of thinking about it, or, you know, suppressing talk about it. Here we can talk about it freely. So I was just wondering, like, what was going on when you got the SEC letter? Like, how'd you feel? How'd you get it? What happened?
I was the first person to get one.
You were the first. That was my next question. You were the first guy to get it. Were you the first guy to talk about it? Because there was rumors whispering about it,
so
and it was very suppressed. It was suppressed by the OGs, which is what they do, and it's kind of manipulating the people, you know.
Very manipulative. Yes, extremely. You know, it's funny. And by the way, to everybody in the chat, you know, these are your OGs, right? These are the people that you fucking trusted, opposed to me, right? You guys called me mentally ill when I fucking said that this shit was fucking real. Okay. But I wasn't the first to come out with it. Okay. I had received it in the mail and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Right. And I opened it up and I was like, holy fuck, I'm getting subpoenaed by the SEC. And I read through it and I did my, you know, I took out a highlighter and I started highlighting key points and shit. And what I got out of it was, number one, it's looking to see if influencers are part of a circle around Richard Hart together with him as like a marketing thing, right? So like, where you paid for marketing, did you have any like funds to your account where you like, they're particularly interested in funds to see where the money went. Okay. And they're also interested in fraud. Like if there was anything that was deceptive that Richard Hart said that would allude to this being a security, Hex being a security. because that's what the Security Exchange Commissions does. They look for that, but then they're also trying to establish who are the ones that are surrounding Richard Hart that also had a game in this, right? And what did they say to make it a security? Because Richard Hart, he could not say things that make it a security, but then the people around him that are part of his team say things, right? And he's still ultimately responsible for making Hex a security. So that's kind of what they're trying to establish.
Did they ask anything about, or did the paperwork, you know, obviously don't answer if you can't, but did the paperwork say anything about basically shilling and promoting something while dumping without disclosing? Is that a thing?
No.
Okay.
They don't care about that. They just care to see if Hex is a security. That's what the SEC does.
Okay.
Now, in terms of like, you know, what happened after I received this paperwork, I consulted people I trusted, right? It was like 2 people that I talked to, and I sent them the information. And I sent them a screenshot of something, of the very first screenshot that you've seen, okay, of the SEC.
Yeah. I remember that.
That had the blue, like, blob on it, right? That everyone saw.
Oh, I don't remember that, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, but the blue blob was me covering up my name.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, I had sent it to them, thought that they would just keep it amongst themselves. The next day, Hexo fucking talked about it. And he talked about the one that I, you know, showed to these people because they're part of that circle. Then it got to that Wales charts guy, and then he fucking posted it, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what? Why is it that my shit is all over the place here? Because I didn't want to create FUD, believe it or not. If anything, I was welcoming strategic, like people to strategize with me on how to approach this. I told the people that are in that circle of OG influencers, I said, guys, keep this between us. We need to strategize here. Okay.
And they thought it was FUD, right?
Well, they claimed it was FUD. And I didn't even go live with it. I didn't fucking post it on my Twitter, nothing. Okay. Hexo went live with it. He used it as content. Okay. He tried to suppress it. But the thing is, he started the fire. Him and that whale charts guy, they started the fucking fire that spoke to the SEC. So now he's like, oh, it's FUD. He's suppressing the fire he fucking created. So and it's like, what are you doing? Like, you fucking said, oh, look at this. Oh, but it's FUD. Guy, I didn't fucking talk about it.
And then everybody started. Go ahead.
And then they said it was fucking me that did it. And I'm like, dude, if I wanted the clout for this, I could have just been like, yo, check this shit out. I could have said that. But I was welcoming them to strategize with me, which they fucking didn't. They used it for content. And then
everyone started dropping like flies. Everyone started getting SEC letters. Everybody, like, there's a list of like 30 people that I've seen, and I think that list is outdated at this point. I don't know if there's more.
Well, they started doing the piling on again, saying, well, it's fucking Joker that is doing this. It's Joker. And I'm like, dude, I didn't fucking talk about it. Like, I don't understand your logic here. Okay. And then people started like Maddie Allen started asking for money, and fucking Hexo, and you know, they all just started asking for money. And the funny thing is, people I'm not going to say where or who, but that are directly affiliated with this in legal ways.
Okay, so you can't say.
We're saying, why are they asking for money? It's just an investigation. There is no hearing. There is no court date. There is no fucking filing. This is just an agency investigating to see if Hex is a security. Why are they asking for money? They are literally defrauding their community. That's literally what this person said.
Well,
who is
they have
in
to
that
file
kind of world.
Paperwork, you know, like it'd be nice to have a lawyer on retainer and
but not
tell
no
you,
fucking $30,000, bro. Like, you know, you can have a lawyer look at something for fucking $300, $400.
Right.
Like,
just it looks like they're kind of gearing up for a fight. So what was it? So you kind of told me what it was about. Did you have a 2-hour hearing with them?
Did I have a 2-hour a hearing? What do you mean
like
a hearing?
Not a hearing, but like they talked to you, they sat you down and shit.
I spoke to them for a long time. I don't know the exact amount of time, but I've had a very long conversation with them.
And there's all these crazy rumors about the FBI, you know, like Trevon James said that the FBI showed up.
I wouldn't put it past them. Look, multiple agencies right now are looking at this for sure. 100%, especially after FTX and everything. We're under a microscope. Don't fucking deny it. There's no denying that. Especially the fact that we are widely known as the scam token.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Richard Hart is widely known as a scammer. They looked at FTX, they're like, what else can we fucking get?
Right. So so you've talked to him for a very long time. You said you wouldn't be surprised that the other alphabet agencies are looking. The Togash guy said that they're knocking on the door and all this stuff. Like, you don't know anything about that, but you wouldn't be surprised. Is that what you're saying?
No, because that's how governments work, right?
Yeah,
like
they hand it off to the next, you know, if they see something, then they hand it off to the next guy.
Yeah, they'll be like, hey, this is more your field. Go ahead and, you know, this isn't a good investigation piece, you know. But I mean, you know, I've seen things amongst the community and in the background where there is claims of fraud, like big time. You know, the fact that Richard Hart said it's a sacrifice doesn't matter. You know, he alluded to it being, you know, where you can get money for this, right? That there's going to be some form of a value, right? He used terms like buy. Okay, like if it's something for free, you can't buy it, right? Like, so there's things that he said during these live streams, and maybe that's why he's not streaming anymore, is because a lot of the things he's saying during these streams while he's speaking, although he's being careful, there's no moderation to what he is saying. So it's highly dangerous for him to continue live streaming. For him,
I'm sure his lawyers probably say nothing or tell him to say nothing. All right, so this re-money FUD, that's the latest thing. That's the whispers on Twitter. That's the links that I'm getting in my DMs. Is Re-money is going around saying that he's seen the evidence in the case against Richard, saying Richard is super dirty. He says he's not revealing what he knows because he can't legally. Does he have any basis or grounds for this, or is he just mad for losing that $2 million?
So
what do you, your opinion?
I don't think so. So from my knowledge, if he's speaking in terms of SEC, the SEC doesn't have the obligation nor the, you know, the means or the rights to go ahead and disclose contents of their investigation. And the reason why is because it will compromise their investigation. Mm-hmm. So if they're like, hey, look at this evidence that we have, it can essentially compromise it. So they're not going to go ahead and, you know, there's no reason for them to say, well, look at this here, guy. Like, it just doesn't make sense in an investigative sense, right? It just doesn't make sense.
And they didn't do that with you, so you just think that he's full of shit, kind of?
Well, no, they didn't do that with me because, you know, why would they, right? They don't have an obligation to show me stuff. They're right now collecting evidence, not disclosing evidence, right? Mm-hmm. Now, would he have somebody, maybe a private investigator or something, to go ahead and dig into this? Maybe pay some money? That's a possibility. Would he say, if he went to like different chat rooms, maybe things are being shared, but there's nothing that could be really validated because, you know, again, in the U.S., you're innocent until proven guilty, and you have to, you know, properly
due process.
Well, right, and you have to properly disclose. Well, not disclose, but you have to properly be given the opportunity to defend whatever it is that's being presented, and then the courts will decide if something is fraud or not, right? Mm-hmm. You can't just outwardly say something is fraud because it has to be proven.
And that's a legal thing too. If I sat here and said like BitBoy defrauded, blah blah blah, you know, you have to say allegedly because literally they could sue you because that's a legal term. There's like legal weight to the word. So basically this thing started just a couple of months ago, right? Because this dude is going around telling everybody it's been going on since like 2021 and that Richard knew, or I get that too confused. They could be 2021.
What are these guys? What's this guy's credentials is the question.
He's got like 100 followers on Twitter. He's just going ham.
Nobody cares. I'm not speaking in terms of followers. I'm asking, what are his credentials? Like, what is his background? What does his resume look like? He's
like an investor. He's got some Lambo pics, stuff like that, which could be fake. But he said that he put in $2 million at like, I don't know, he at 20 cents, wrote it up to 50 cents and hodled it all the way down to the bottom. And he's saying that Richard,
but there's nothing that supports that. And not only that, but
Yeah,
there's
I
also
know.
nothing that supports him being in any kind of like investigative agency or connected to an investigative agency. I highly doubt that he has pull like that, unless
Okay.
he's paying off like an agent. But I don't, there's a lot of like ethical kind of things involved there.
Okay. Speaking of which, I wanted to bring up your token, and I wanted to ask you, do you feel like it's a good idea to launch Villain with the SEC lurking around and asking questions?
Yeah, because it's truly decentralized, and I'm not going to have any tokens.
You're not going to have any tokens?
Mm-mm, not
Let's
one.
talk about Villain for a little bit because I'm curious about it. Why are you launching it? Now I know a little bit about it, that you don't want any centralized figures, and you wanted to do a cryptocurrency that, like, is different, is anti. I don't know. Go on and just explain that to me. Is it?
So look, I guess the question is, why am I doing it?
Yeah. Why are you launching it?
Because I believe crypto needs it. I believe that, again, I don't do things for money. I do things because I want to fix broken shit. And one thing that I've identified in crypto is that centralized figures are the fucking problem. People that are founding members, people that make the decisions, right, without any accountability. Now with Villain, there's going to be kind of like a internal kind of government structure that people can vote on. That
And
has
it's built on Hex, right?
no, it's going to be built on Ethereum.
On Ethereum.
Yeah, well,
Right, but it interacts
currently
with Hex.
Well, there will be so there will be a mechanism that interacts with Hex where it will buy and stake Hex, and then that staked Hex will be turned into an encapsulated stake to where the elected official will be able to distribute that to whoever that the community decides. So it takes me completely out of it.
Okay.
The only power that I will ever have is if that person becomes corrupt and they start breaking things, then I can put up for a vote that things are breaking, and then we can remove that individual in power, and then they can choose another person.
Is there a pre-mine, a sack phase?
Yes, there will be, but I don't know exactly when.
Okay. So you don't know when it's going to be actually launching or anything?
I don't want it to launch during this time, and the reason being is because the Hexicans are full of fucking emotions right now. A lot of people are down on their money, and I don't want them to feel like, oh man, I'm missing out on this opportunity. This is pretty cool, and then they're not given the opportunity because they just don't have the money. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just not fair. So I want it to be when people have the opportunity to get into something like this. But it's, it has nothing to do with me. It's all for you. So think of it as like a government that you yourselves can work on, deciding who's good and who's not for the community. You can put together voting pool. I mean, it's quite robust, but yeah.
Okay, so where do you think crypto is going in the next year?
Where
kind of a broad question, I know. It's not a hit. It's a well, I was just looking at some of my charts, and some of my analysis is that I think that we're going to start bottoming, and then we're going to go into the malaise era, the sideways depression era. Like,
yep, I know exactly what you mean.
We're getting the capitulation soon. If you take a look at the volume in, or the sorry, if you take a look at the volatility index on Bitcoin, it is at its like all-time lows recently, and the last time that happened was in 2018, right before that final flush. If you take a look at the S&P 500 and you juxtapose the current day chart into the 2008 chart, I mean, they're like right at the part where it flushed. You know what I mean? Like, everything is cyclical. Everything moves in patterns and things like that.
We can't. So one thing I'm going to caution you. Okay, we can't necessarily look at crypto the same this time than we did last time.
Yeah, it's much worse for sure.
Well, there's reasons for that, right? Macroeconomics is a huge factor here, right? Yeah. The recession, I mean, probably in the Great Depression here soon. The whole thing with oil, we're in a very, very bad spot with the war, with what happened with COVID.
The markets tend to front run the economy. So like once we start really seeing the recession and stuff, once we really start bottoming, The buyers are going to come in, you know, like the market's always
Well, that's if
moved
we
like
have
8
that's if we
months.
have the ability to even recover what occurred,
Yeah,
right? Like,
I mean,
I think there's worse things to come, right? We still haven't seen the end of the war that's going on out in the Balkans, right? Like, we don't know what's going to happen there. You know, somebody could fucking launch a nuke, right? Like, these are things that are very, very scary to investors. People are going to more than likely want to buy food than anything in gold. You know, you got to look at store of value. Where is it that the money's probably going to go into? Something that is pretty fucking stable, right? And like I said, gold, right? That's tangible. You can put your hands on it. So I think that's kind of where a lot of people are going to be going. My opinion, not financial advice.
Yeah, I happen to disagree. I think it's gonna be the same old stuff. I think we're gonna bottom here probably in the next few months, and then we're gonna go into a sideways boring era. It's already happening right now. People are tuning out, people are checking out of crypto, they're looking away, and that's when like we're gonna have this boring, nothing going on phase, except maybe like some cool little startups and fun little
so do you think I have a question. Do you think, as far as macroeconomics go, what do you think there's going to be another event of something catastrophic occurring, or do you think we're just kind of like done?
Well, it just depends. I don't think that something catastrophic happening is going to turn into like the Great Depression. I think something catastrophic happening is going to be, if it does happen, like you're saying, a black swan. If we do get a black swan, I think it's going to be an excuse for the feds to cut rates. And what's going to happen? You know, inflation's going to run hot, and people and asset prices are going to increase in nominal terms, but that doesn't mean it's going to increase in real terms adjusted for inflation. And I think the people that own assets are going to continue to grow wealth. And I think the people that don't own assets, if they don't have real estate, if they don't have gold, if they don't have like crypto, if they don't have, you know, in equities and things like that, commodities, whatever it is, if you don't hold assets, you're going to get left behind. And I think it's going to be a depletion of the middle class. I think that's what's going to happen if we do get another black swan event. And that's why you don't want to be fully out. You know, like I still have my hodl position. I sold 65K on this channel. You can go watch the clip. Sold Hex 45 cents on this channel. Sold tops of 2 bull markets, you know. And I'm telling you, man, I really think it's going to be the same old bullshit, but much worse. Remember when in 2008, you know, during the GFC, they printed like $1 trillion for talk. Yep. Yeah, and it was like, oh my God, $1 trillion, bro. Our budget for 1 year is 1.7 trillion. And it's going to keep compounding and it's going to keep getting worse. Do you know why? Because the politicians are absolute cowards. You have 2 ways to get out of this mess. One, the honest way, which is raising taxes and cutting government spending. And then 2, there's the dishonest way, which is printing money to cover bloated deficits, which is going to dilute the money supply.
That's going to happen. That's
right. And that's what's going to happen.
They're going to keep doing that.
We're just going to inflate away this debt. And what does that mean? That means the people that own assets, the people that they're going to continue. It's just like I said, it's just a depletion of the middle class. I don't think that we're going to go into like some Great Depression or anything like that. Worst case scenario, I think we're going to have a CBDC so they can directly inject money into the economy and they can control the M2 money supply, the velocity of the money. I think that's the worst case scenario because you know what's going to happen. I don't have to tell you. You know, once they have control of the money like that, you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, it's gonna be pretty bad times. But in terms of crypto, you know, they're high in regulation right now because of what's going on with the FTX. They're very, you know, hyper focused on controlling crypto, to the point of even countries, you know, right now they're in development of their own crypto, right, as their own currency. Yep. Right. So if that occurs, what happens to all other cryptos?
I don't know. I'm on the other side of the camp. I think that crypto is going to flourish in this. You know, I think CBDC is the worst case scenario. I think it's going to be same old. I think we're going to have a crisis. The Fed's going to be forced to cut rates. It's going to be cheap, easy money again. Everything is going to pump again. The people who jump in to this pump are going to barely keep up. I mean, in nominal terms, they're going to keep up, but I think the standard of living is generally going to go down. I think the government spending is like 97% of GDP. I think it's going to get much worse. I think that's going to decrease the standard of living. But the only hope you have, this is my opinion, okay? It's not financial advice. The only hope you have is to hold assets. Otherwise, everything's going to run away from you. And the barrier to entry to buy a house. I mean, look what happened in the last couple of years. Imagine if they cut rates again. You know, trust me, I've been in the housing market. I just built a brand new house. I've been in the game. I got, you know, I got to sell the top, but I bought the top of the housing market. Okay. So yeah. So I might have dumped Hex on you at 45 cents, but I bought the top of the housing. Like, it's been brutal. I got beat up real bad. And imagine if they cut rates again. You know, I'll refinance my shit. What's going to happen? Housing prices are going to continue to go up. And if you don't have a house, well, then now it's a harder, bigger barrier to entry. So this is why I'm rocking with. I'm going to start. I'm very USDC heavy. I'd like the shit to flush down one more time. I'd like to see a nice big capitulation. I'd like to see, you know, the depression phase, so where which is also AKA the accumulation phase. You know, and I'm going to start accumulating. And you know what? If I'm wrong, I'm happy to be in a cardboard box. Live in a cardboard box in the street, you know, but I'm not going to let, because I watched this shit run away from me. I watched the housing market run away from me. You know what I mean? I watched, like, you know, I got an R8 and supercar. Like I flip cars like shit coins, you know, that's how, like, I kind of got into trading, but like, I watched the car prices go insane, you know, like stupid, like just having my R8 and just having it sit there, you know, like it's just another place for me to hold value, you know, because so equities, cryptos, you know what I mean? I'm not into bonds or anything like that, or really understand the yield curve that much. I just know it's inverted and it's bad. But, you know, like, hold assets, have real estate, have gold, and buy crypto. Because, dude, if this shit does, if the Fed has to pivot before inflation is down, bro, we're gonna have another spike, just like we did in the 1970s. It was like a double spike of recession before the Federal Reserve raises interest rates, the federal funds rate to 20% to get inflation down. And they were in a much healthier situation than we are now. So imagine if we cut rates again and shit starts going again, dude, we're going to see UBI, we're going to see stimmy checks galore. And what are people going to do? They're going to put that in fucking dog coins. You know, it's going to be the same shit over and over. That's what I think is going to happen. And I'm positioning myself for that scenario.
Do you honestly think people would invest stimmy checks in dog coins now after everything that happened? But do you think they'll do it again after getting burned the way that they did?
Well, I do, because when you take a look at the Google Analytics, the two Bitcoin is the number one Googled in both the world and United States, and then second is Shiba Inu. That's global, but at home, just in the United States, it's Dogecoin. So people are still interested in this. And here's my theory. Here's why I think that. I think that because, you know, take a look at a complex protocol like Zen, right? And it's always changing. You have to learn a lot. People don't want to do that shit. They got families. They got friends. They're not like crypto.
They want it easy.
They want a dog coin that go up. That's it. Oh, Elon Musk talked about it. You know, he's popular. He owns Twitter. He's incorporated. He's going to send a Dogecoin to the moon or some bullshit, like, for real. Or if he did already, I don't know. Like, that's what they want. They want to be like, okay, so I'm watching football today, but which one of these does good? Oh, Dogecoin. Okay, click that. And in one instant, it's not like calling your broker. You just click, boom, now you have it. You know, and I really think that these blue chip coins that I'm looking at, you know, I like to flirt with DeFi, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I do it for I do it because
DeFi is the new wave, man. It's going to be, you know, that's the thing. And I think if you see a coin that is built with an AI mechanism where it takes away, again, centralized figures or a human element, that's where I'm going.
I like to experiment with DeFi. You know, like, I do these protocols, and you know, I'm chimping in. I'm not trying to act like a big shot, like I'm putting in 40K or some stupid. You know, I'm just like I'm toying around, and that's how I got into Hex. You know, I'm toying around. I want to see how the contract works, see if I get addicted to it, see if I like it, and if I like it and I'm addicted to it because I'm a nerd, I know that normies are gonna. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's kind of like, I've been dabbling with NFTs. You know, I've been dabbling with DeFi protocol. I'm dabbling with Zen a little bit. You know, like, just because I'm doing DeFi, you know, like, I'm staying sharp. I'm staying on the leading edge. And what I think is important in this market today is that to stick it out. What my channel is about is, like, I do like cryptotainment, basically, you know, like, I talk about news. I put a funny spin on shit. I have, like, you know, higher production, B-roll, whatever, memes and stuff like that. And I do that for this reason. It's because during this next cycle, all my friends during the run up to 69K, when we were coming out of the cozy 19 lows, sorry, I'm using code word because I got pulled down. But when
okay.
we were down there at 3K and shit like that, we pumped up to 14K. My OG friends, like OG longer than me, they're like, dude, sell. You got to sell. I'm like, nah, fuck that. I was just watching the shit show. I'm watching the Clown World show. You know, I'm hodling. I'm not trading. They're trading, doing all this stuff. I'm not trading. I'm just hodling. I'm a hodler, right? And then we got to 20K. They're like, dude, previous all-time high. Right now is the perfect time to sell. Buy back at 10K. I'm like, dude, fuck that shit. I'm watching the Clown World show. I'm letting the crypto entertain me because the movies have failed us. The media has failed us. And crypto is my entertainment now. I'm following this shit. It's fun. I'm doing little DeFi protocols. I'm fucking with Hex. I'm doing stakes. I'm doing all this shit, right? And guess what? It fucking worked out for me. And I rode this shit up and sold 65K publicly on this channel. So it's like, you know, I want to do that again. You know what I mean? I want to reaccumulate down here and I want to hodl it up for the next cycle because I've seen these twice and I think it's going to just do the same shit all over again. So that's the purpose of my channel is to be the entertainment, the cryptotainment of like, dude, just fucking hodl, experiment with DeFi protocols. Some aren't going to work out, but some will, you know what I mean? And don't go crazy and take profits, basically.
Well, here's the thing, right? So, you know, I think that's a good mindset to have, right? And I think that, you know, if we continue to ride this wave, especially during a bear market, you know, you do have a lot of opportunity, right? You do have a lot of opportunity. You have a lot of things that you know could essentially be the next greatest thing that are out right now. You know, I strongly believe that if you do flirt with DeFi, you're probably gonna win. And not financial advice, but there are things out there that could essentially make you win.
You cannot spot. I agree with you. You cannot spot the next trend. You know how I say, like, every cycle, Bitcoin dies and it's reborn as something else. You know, like we didn't have in 2017, we didn't have DAOs, we didn't have yield farming, we didn't have NFTs, we didn't have any of that shit. You know, so like it's gonna die again. It's almost dead, right? We're down like 70 some percent. It's gonna die again. And it's gonna come back as something different. And if you don't stick it out, if you don't flirt and test and experiment with DeFi, you're not gonna be able to spot the next trend. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about, is because you could speculate on something like a crazy protocol, you know, like I keep referencing Zen. I'm not trying to tell you to buy it. I don't care. I'm just saying, like, it's a complex DeFi protocol. If you're not in there, if you're not doing it, if you really don't understand it. And if you don't understand this DeFi, how are you going to spot the next trend? How are you not going to get rugged? You got to be in the trenches. You know what I mean? You got to be doing the shit. You got to be learning. And the people who are excited by this and crypto is their entertainment, you know, those ones are going to capitalize on the next market. Yeah. You know, and everybody else's exit liquidity, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, but this is also, education's key, right? You got to understand what you're getting yourself in, especially DeFi. Yeah, I want to just speak to one of your chatters here, Pascal. Sure. So please go deeper into why you want to launch Villain and fix things that are broken, because I'm tired of seeing people getting scammed. I'm tired of people getting lied to. I'm tired of select groups essentially controlling the narrative, right? And if you have a focal point of the entire community that are essentially able to see some of these things going on, then what ends up happening is you're providing a area for people to congregate and to observe things that are occurring. They essentially can bring to light a lot of the things that are occurring, and they can hold accountable the people who are doing those things, right? So an example would be, you know, Sam or whoever from FTX. You know, if the community starts seeing a lot of this like weird shit going on, they can start putting things out to a vote, like, hey, you guys see this, right? Let's work on you know, blacklisting this, or let's work on funding an investigation for this, or whatever, right? So essentially it provides, you know, an area for people to, you know, come together and to really try to fix things in crypto, and that correlates to other coins. And there's a reward system that you know, helps you do that's built into what Villain's supposed to be. So that's why, right? There's a lot of broken things in crypto, and you know, just like Richard Hart, and when he first started with Hex, he wanted to, you know, fix the world, right? Like, and now it's not about that anymore for him. But for me, you know, this isn't to enrich me. This is just to create something that will fix things in the world. You know, I have a 7-year-old son. The world fucking sucks, man. You know, I don't want him to fucking go through the same enslavement that I did, or the financial enslavement that I did, or you guys did. You know, we're very controlled, and if we can, you know, put things the right way and help crypto build the right way, crypto is essentially the future of finance.
Do you think that Hex could ever be put back on track? What would it take for you to come back to the Hex community, or are you not even interested?
I'm sorry. What was the question again?
Oh, sorry. You were saying, is there any way that Hex? Do you think that any way Hex could be fixed? If you could fix Hex,
remove Richard Hart. Have him just put down, you know, whatever it is that he's doing as far as like his wallets, any of that. Just stop fucking interacting with it and leave. Get out. Richard Hart, stop being the face. Let Hex do its thing on the contract. You know, let it, you know, create the gains that it's supposed to create. Let people interact with it. Stop talking about it. Stop being the face of it. Go away.
It's a fun dApp. Hex is an awesome dApp. I mean, do you think that the controversy, the drama, the soap opera of Hex keeps people engaged, or do you think that what are people addicted to? Are they addicted to the contract, or are they addicted to the drama? Because as you know, dude, Hex implodes once like every 2 months, a complete implosion.
Well, the drama is sure it keeps things spicy, right? While we're fucking bored, but at the same time, this is not supposed to be something that is full of emotions, right?
Right.
And a lot of these OGs claim that they're like, oh, I'm staked, I'm chilling. But then the second something happens in the price, or somebody says something that doesn't benefit them, immediately they're like attacking it like a wild, like a rabid dog. So, you know, I think that sure, for comedic purposes and for people to, you know, sway boredom, yeah, I mean, it's fun, but for the influencers to do shady shit like dump on your heads and then ask for money, I mean, that's not the kind of drama I think is valuable. I think, you know, maybe two people fighting about somebody fucking another guy's wife or something, like that's more funny. But like, so, if you're you know, if you're gonna go out there and be like, oh well, I stole a bunch of money and I'm supposed to be one of the head fucking influencers of Hex, that's damaging to the price, and I don't like that.
You posted something about Hexologist, and I was so busy last night, I briefly got to listen to it, and what was he saying? He was saying something about
he agreed.
Taking slings and arrows for, you know, the old Shakespearean line. He's taking slings and arrows for Richard Hart's actions or something.
Yeah, so he's essentially seeing what I've been fucking saying for months now. And it's funny. It's hilarious.
It's funny because I was kind of mentioning it too, but nobody's seen my channel, you know. But that, yeah, I'm on the same vibe as you. Yeah, you know, maybe not as extreme, but that's so okay,
I've been trying to tell people that the way that he's doing this is really hurting the price. It's not really doing much for Hex. It's doing something for his following. He's getting followers and, you know, people following him and watching the fucking, you know, I guess the train wreck of Richard Hart's fucking midlife crisis, while he's trying to, you know, be with multiple women while he's flexing in front of them too. At least that's what he said his motivation was. But, you know, I think that Hexo is now seeing it, that, you know, it is, people just don't like that. They don't like him flexing this money. People are saying that, you know, he's dumping on the price and everything, and it just looks bad for all of us that are founders doing this, right? And again, that speaks to what I want to do with Villain, where it just gets rid of centralized figures and it holds people accountable. Because stuff like that, I mean, he should know that, you know, maybe outside of his bubble, you know, his main circle where people are drinking from the Red Bull can, you know, maybe we should not reinforce any of his actions and hold him accountable and make him feel like shit for once, right? Make him feel like shit. Make him know that what he's doing is damaging to the price, and we don't want to fucking sacrifice the price because he wants more followers. That's not what I got into fucking Hex for, or crypto.
It's bad for, you know, the brand, you know, like in this day and age, everybody's a brand, and the Hex brand is kind of hard to show people when dudes like wearing diamond purses and twerking and all this stuff, you know. No offense to anybody if that's your shtick. I'm not saying that. I just think it's kind of a bad look for a middle-aged man to be doing that, and he's such a smart guy, and I really believe that, you know, he's quite talented, and you know, I
don't believe I don't believe he's talented at all. I think he knows corners. I know he knows how to cut corners. I think he has taken advantage of certain mechanisms that have worked for other like people and applied it to himself. I think he's horrible in business. I think he's horrible in marketing. I think he doesn't really understand anything else but crypto. Really. I don't think he understands any. I mean, the way that his image is alone should tell you, right? Sure, he's done like, you know, he's had a bunch of like passports and shit like that, you know, evading something. But I honestly think that he's not a genius. I just think he's spent a lot of time researching in crypto,
so
and that's it.
You don't think that he's going to save the world? Do you think he's going to go down with the ship?
Absolutely. I don't believe he's going to save anything. He didn't save anyone. You know, this stupid fucking narrative of him saying he saved anyone is dumb. Like, he didn't make you fucking invest in Hex. He didn't make you buy. He didn't tell you when to sell. He didn't do any of that. Yeah. He made a coin just like, you know, Tesla made a fucking car, right? Because that's what they do. That's their product. That's how they make money. You know, Richard Hart, 100% sold some Hex. Sorry to break it to you. Okay. And for somebody to tell me not, just do yourselves a favor and take a look at his live streams back before he even launched Hex, and then look how he starts gaining materials like watches, and like you just start seeing things appear. And then the most amount of materials started appearing after the sacrifice phase of Pulse Chain, and then Pulse X, and he started getting all this shit.
Do you think? Yeah, no shit. Do you think that he really owns these Ferraris and these like G-Wagon and stuff like that, or were those rented for the video? Like what?
Well, it's a possibility. I mean, the guy's he's just spending stupid money. He got billions of dollars in sacrifice money. What's to stop him? Nothing. You know, he'll go and he'll buy all this shit. More than likely, he has a lot of value stored in assets, as you were mentioning.
Yeah.
Now, why do you ask? Well, let's just see. If crypto goes to nothing, if say Hex goes to nothing, if say Pulse Chain goes to nothing, the guy has millions of dollars in assets and clothing. And who's to say he's not laundering money? Who's to say he's not reselling all those clothes that he got and make, you know, online for a discounted price?
Yeah, I don't really want to go down that rabbit hole. Of course, that is a possibility and stuff like that, especially since
I'm just saying, who's to say it's not happening, right? I'm not saying it is. I'm saying who's to say it's not. Where are these clothes? He shows it once.
Man. Well, the watches is a brilliant move, because let's say something happens. They take your wallet or whatever. They make you fork over the wallets. They freeze your bank accounts, right? Now you got these watches, which they'll probably take because there's so many. But typically, you know, people like I know a lot of dudes, you know, like dudes with money, they usually have a Rolex, and it's not really that. It is a flex, but it's also a store of value. You know, Rolexes go up like 4% a year or some shit like that, right? So it's like, hey, if you take all my money, if you take everything from me, I have no access to a bank account, and I'm in Bangkok, Thailand, I have a Rolex. I can get the value out of that Rolex.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
It could be a fucking, you know, something to just kind of hold off to the side just in case they freeze his bank accounts or whatever, right? Which governments are known to do for people who are notoriously scamming, right? If they know, just like they did with fucking FTX and stuff, they froze his shit apparently. Right? They have that opportunity to do that. So what can he do? Sell a fucking watch.
So right? Is there anything that you regret about, like, I mean, let's face it, man, you've kind of had a rough ride in this shit, right? So is there anything that you regret or would have done differently knowing what you know now? Like, what would you do differently?
Not a thing.
Really?
No. I've learned a lot, man. You know, there's a lot of learning opportunity in what occurred to me. And a lot of like, you know, like I'm able to now observe as people do stupid shit. You know, I've learned not to trust anyone really, because a lot of people just have the you know, the fucking balls to try to throw you under the bus while they're, you know, while they're becoming bigger, right? And one good example of that is Jim Rat Crypto. You know, I made him. I literally made him. And I did nothing bad to him. And what he did, the first thing he did was he clout chased me and he attacked me and he tried to steal my audience. That's literally what he did.
He cut your throat, is what you're saying?
Yep. That's exactly what he tried to do. Tried. Didn't succeed because I still, you know, flourished because I know how to move around. But if I was that kind of person that allowed that to buckle me, it would have been over for me.
Are you still doing the gaming thing?
Yeah. So I'm actually I'm a rising personality on a platform called Kick, which is a new platform that is essentially owned by stake.com, which is a gambling platform.
Yeah.
There are Drake was on the platform. I became verified as a verified partner probably around like 2-3 weeks ago. I'm in constant talks with their staff. They're pushing my content. I mean, it's pretty sweet.
When you're doing gaming, what game are you playing?
I mean, I don't always do gaming, but I do like Call of Duty, you know, Valorant, you know, games like that. But I'm usually just chatting and doing what made me popular on DLive before I even was a Hexagon was I did like really, really fun, informative streams. And then like, you know, we would review things and then I would like pepper in some gaming every so often.
Okay. Well, I'd be willing to join you if you ever wanted me to, just to talk, just to BS talk. I'm kind of have emphasis like on news and macro, you know what I mean? So if there's something that happens, you know, I'd probably be the guy to call. If you're doing something like a FTX happens, typically like I go down the rabbit holes on that kind of thing. So I'd be willing to come on and talk macro and talk crypto news or whatever with you anytime that you would want.
Yeah, I would absolutely welcome that, man. Like I said, and maybe this is something for you to you know, to look into as well. Kick.com, and my site is kick.com/the_joker. So check it out if you guys want to come see me. But you know, to be honest with you, what made Hex popular, okay, and this is God honest truth, man. What made Hex popular was the Hexagon streamers. And I was one of them, okay? I was one of the main motherfuckers who pushed your shit. And you guys fucking tumbled on me. Fuck you for that. But I did my work, and everybody that was on DLive, which don't go there now, but that was on DLive, they rode the wave of DLive as DLive was getting famous. PewDiePie, which was the biggest YouTuber at the time, was streaming on DLive. Hexo and Richard Hart were streaming to like 50 to 80 people a day. I was streaming to 150 to 250 people a day. Okay. During that time, we would stream and we would promote the word of Hex. They had a lot of right-winged people start appearing on DLive during that time. That's why you see Hexagons more right-wing, because a lot of us came from that community that was right wing on DLive. Okay, because
so even Richard was streaming on there.
Yeah, he only had like 50 or 80 people watching at the time.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, I had more viewers than Richard. This was beginning of 2020, around like April, May.
That's when shit started really popping off. Like no, it crashed. It started.
Well, it was pre Big Payday. And then
Big Payday, yeah.
And then Big Payday happened, and then there you go, right? And then it started like really popping off. Well, there was that Big Payday FUD, and then it jumped. Yeah. But the involvement of people came from that community, right? We would stream all the time and talk about it and do segments and all that shit. So the point I'm making, the reason why I'm telling you about DLive, okay? Kick is essentially DLive back in 2019. Instead of PewDiePie, they have Drake. And they have UFC fighters, and they have people like that are bringing the traffic to Kick, okay? If you want to promote something, whether it be fucking Hex or Pulse Chain or a coin that you want to make, okay? Or if you want to build a following, okay? Crypto is not established on Kick. Again, it's in its embryo stage, but it has a giant of a company, stake.com, that is literally behind it, okay? That is ensuring its success. So if you just follow the same formula, it essentially kind of mimics the same time frame when Hexo started back in 2020. Okay. So I invite you or anyone in crypto to start a fucking presence if you want to promote your own shit.
And the other thing is, you know, we have been censored by YouTube algorithm. You know, like I usually don't even swear. I use code words, you know, because I keep getting demonetized and all this stuff like that. What we really need is competition. You know, I've been waiting for Twitter to have long form videos. You know, Elon Musk said that Twitter is going to do that. So, you know, we need something to leave YouTube, but there's no traffic there. You know,
Well,
we need
that's
another.
fine.
We need a YouTube competitor. You know, so
well, look again. You know, that's fine because YouTube was something back then as well, right? You have to grow with something that is trending, unless or else you're going to get buried in YouTube, right? Currently, what Hexicans are facing right now is that we are in a bubble. We are in an echo chamber. Okay. On Twitter, a lot of people are singing and dancing and saying, "Oh, look, Hexican is trending. Richard Hart is trending." It's all because it's trending for you. It's based upon your algorithm of what you've been searching. You're trapped in this fucking bubble. And by the way, Twitter and tweets, that's not you doing your fucking due diligence, right? That's not you going out there and fucking retweeting and all that. That's not marketing. Okay? Going on platforms that are currently rising, such as Kick, you can fucking get some Drake people, some people who are UFC enthusiasts or whatever. Okay?
Yeah, and I'm all, like I said, I'm all for a third party platform because you know, YouTube's a motherfucker. So what is your main message? If you could tell something to Hexicans, like the number one thing from HexJoker, what would that be?
From HexJoker, why so serious? from me, look, Hexicans made Hex great back in 2020 and kind of 2021. The passion that was once back then with a different Richard Hart is what made Hex Hex. It's what made Pulse Chain and Pulse X. The kind of enthusiasm and passion that you have shown back then is not present now.
It's inverted.
It's actually quite the opposite.
Yeah.
You have been poisoned by the Hex Maxis, the Richard Hart is right Maxis. You have been poisoned by the OGs. You have been poisoned by Legion VC. Okay? That's my opinion. You have been poisoned. For their own interest, for their pockets to be filled, for their narrative to be pushed, you have been taken advantage of. It is what it is. Accept it. The popularity scheme where people want to say what's popular just so they can get a pat on the back and get a follow from Richard Hart, that is what is literally what you're fighting for. Acceptance. However, if you take the time to take a step back and operate in the mindset of righteousness, where you want to promote truth and give people the best possible opportunity to do great in their lives, which is what Hexicans were about, you must highlight what is wrong in Hex. You must highlight all of the fumbling that is occurring, and you must hold those accountable that are doing the wrongings that is occurring right now. Without accountability, people think that they can just get away with it. Those such as hexologists who have dumped on your heads, all of that needs to be highlighted. The lies and the deceit needs to be highlighted, because at the end of the day, it is that highlighting and that accountability that will remedy all of the problems that you're seeing. And it will essentially pave the way for the new Hexicans, for the people who really would care about the Richard Hart ecosystem. The ones that you will save will be the next new loyal following. And believe it or not, there is a huge shift right now where the OGs are losing their traction. They're going to start withering away, and you're going to have these new Hexicans that are going to now do the work that will essentially pump your coin, build your community, and help you into your path of financial freedom.
I actually somewhat agree with you. I've been saying this for a while. I've been calling it the Great Reset, And what I'm saying is, like, you know, now that liquidity is low for Hex, like it's abysmal, let these big wallets with 34 million Hex, let them dump for 700K. Let's get all of these big wallets to dump right here and capitulate. And as you can see, as we've all known, that the Hex wallets are going up with smaller amounts, so it will be redistributed, and that will be the great reset. Well, where there's going to be new OGs, there's going to be a new cycle with a new crop, and you know, a lot of these toxic guys, you know, can step back or dump and leave, and maybe Hex has a chance. You know, maybe Hex has a chance for a new beginning. But I think everybody, including the most diehard Hexican out there, has to be able to admit, bro, like this has gotten toxic. This has gone downhill. Like it's become a circus, you know, and that's not how I don't want to see Hex go out like that, bro. Like I like this platform. It's made me a ton of money. I got in early, you know. I still have like 30 plus stakes, you know. Like I'm still in Hex, you know. Like I don't want to go out like that. Like what? Like twerking and like freaking Gucci suits and bro, like that's not how I envisioned that this would end. You know, like I would like to see a rebirth. I don't mind it burning down sub a penny. You know, I honestly don't mind it. It's easy for me to say because I got in early. I'm still not even upside down, right? but I know it's easy for me to say, but I see from this angle, I could probably see it differently from other people, and I can see that maybe a giant burn down. I hope the next guy dumps 100 million Hex for 1.2 mil. Come on, bring it into low liquidity. Get rid of it. Get rid of it and get out. You know, because things have gotten toxic, and I think they could be better. And I think Hex is a fun DApp. I think there's a lot of cool projects built on it that interact with it. I think Hex could survive. I think Hex could be okay. But some of the toxicity and the bullshit and the flexing and the all that needs to stop. Maybe it's cute for a little while at the top of a bull market, but riding down to 96%, like, come on, guys. Dude, we have strained as Hexkins, we have strayed from the path of censorship resistance, from the path of decentralized money, from the path of freedom of movement. What happened to all these things? Why did I throw my money away in the pulse chain? You know what? We are the exact opposite of what we were aspiring to be, the community that we were trying to build. We have become like the absolute antithesis of it. And if this shit needs to burn down, so these people need to dump all their coins for cheap, then do it. Get it over with. Get it over with, and let's have a fresh start. You know, and I agree with you on a lot, man. I really do. You know, like I'd like to see a change. That's all I'm saying. Now, I'm not saying I agree with like some of the claims and things like that. You know, I can't co-sign to everything you're saying, but the gist of what you're saying, I mean, I think you have a lot of good points, and I think Hex can survive, and a cleanse and a rebirth sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and if that's possible, right? Like there has to be a wave, and usually what occurs is a fork of a community, right? So you'll have like Hexaco A and Hexaco B, right? And then there'll probably be like a civil war of a sort, which is fine because like. Well, it has to happen because it's a fork of the community, and then whatever ideas win, that's the new wave, right? And hopefully that new wave will fucking prosper and it will do really well. And let me just, you know, respond to one person here saying, how would you respond to public handshake to mend things over? I would absolutely entertain it. I will get on a live stream with these OGs and I will gladly have a conversation if they would be willing to do that. But a lot of these people are proven to be a little weak-minded, and they can't handle that kind of pressure. Whereas me, I don't mind. Let's have a conversation in the public. Let's mend things. If you want to fucking fix things in the OG community, let's have a conversation, and then I'll shake your hand afterwards. Sure, why not? But we got to put it all out on the table. I'm talking about everything that you did.
Well, I mean, no, I don't think anybody's going to actually do that or anything. But I think the culture of like, hey, let's censor this guy and pretend like he doesn't exist so we can control the narrative is pretty shady in my opinion, and it makes us look bad. And this is why I always say this. I said it 3 times already, but Hex is the North Korea of cryptocurrency, right? We're over here launching rockets, making a bunch of noise, but no one will fuck with us. No one goes there. No one will do business with them. You know what I mean? And I think just like a reimagining and a re-image of Hex will be required to mend the fences. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that again, Richard Hart needs to step away. It is what it is. You know, be a figure out in the background.
Let's say
don't
Richard
be so public. Stop fucking flexing on people and get to work. Let me not curse. My guy, Pulse Chain needs to be fucking launched. Pulse X needs to be launched, right? People like Charles Hoskinson usually put out updates all the time about their chain. Why the fuck aren't you? I don't give a fuck about your clothes. I don't care about your money.
Could it
I
be
don't
the
care what the
SEC
fuck you
thing?
do. Go ahead and fucking tell us about what's happening with Pulse Chain. Because if you're not acting like other founders are, because you're filling a fucking role that there's expectations on, and I know what you're going to say, well, no expectations of the work of others. Dude, that's a load of bullshit. The expectation is if you have a chain that constantly needs updating and all that stuff, we need those updates. Okay? And the only thing that these founders like Hoskinson does, okay, he shows all of the things that are happening within the chain that he's working with, right? So you need to follow that same pathway.
Thing? Is it the SEC thing? Do you think that maybe his lawyers are saying, "Hey, bro, don't put out any updates, don't launch it"? Do you think that's the conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat? I'm just putting it out there. Do you think that's what's going on?
The SEC, like, if that's why he's not putting out updates?
Yeah, because of the the investigation, and he maybe this thing can blow over. Maybe the SEC has a lot going on, right? They got
but he's
they got
still
FTX, they got all this stuff. Like, what are they going to do?
We are still due, even if there is no expectation of the work of others, right? It passes the Howey test. We're not getting any money, right? He's saying that we're not going to get any money, but we sacrificed for freedom of speech that essentially is supposed to fucking lead to us getting free stuff. Well, I want to know when I'm getting my free stuff, because that free stuff was still promised to me. Okay? Now, what wasn't promised was it to have value. Now, as far as like the freedom of speech thing, he should fucking focus on that. Because if I'm going to donate to any kind of fucking cause, the amount of money that I donated or sacrificed for, then I'm expecting you to do something to help that fucking cause. So why is that not even fucking being put out? And tweeting isn't freedom of speech. I expect him to go out there and fucking pull out rallies and shit and get people together and fucking maybe fund a fucking freedom of speech campaign, right? Where's all that?
That's kind of what we were doing before the sack, right? He did like the Europe tour, the Euro tour. Richard did. He went to all the different places in Europe and he was doing like speeches.
He took a vacation, bro.
Like he went to like 10 different cities or something.
But you went to that was a vacation.
The boots with the freaking keychain on the bottom or whatever.
Yeah, that was a vacation. That wasn't freedom of speech. That was him going and meeting his fans and doing meetups. Like that's not. No.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying. I don't see that happening. Are you in the highest of stakes?
I think I have a segment. Yes.
Yeah, I think I do too.
I didn't see the final product, but I believe I have. Like, you'll see me in there.
I should be too. I did sign something. I did sign a waiver to a 10-second clip. Yeah. But I don't know if they're actually they might just leave me on the cutting room floor. I don't know, because this is my really early days. I'm like, dude, my production quality was like Minecraft. You know what I mean? It was terrible. So I don't know if they'll actually use it in such a high production film or what appears to be high production. But yeah, so that'll be interesting. I wonder, what's going on with that. I think that if, Netflix or Amazon or anybody like that was going to pick it up, I think it'd be out.
So I had put Discourse Syndicate in connection with the fuck's his name from PulseCon. He was one of the executive people for Netflix. So I had kind of put them together because I had conversation with him and I had gotten his credentials. So I help. Again, you motherfuckers keep fudding me, and you guys don't know what the fuck I do for you. Okay, you talk all your shit. I fucking put Discord Syndicate in line with one of the co or not co but previous executives of Netflix to get the highest of stakes a better chance of being on Netflix. But no, you guys want to talk shit about me, right? Like, it's so funny. Like I've done so much more for this community than a lot of these fucking, fake ass motherfuckers out there, these OGs that you claim to protect. I didn't just fucking, I funded a fucking NASCAR $600,000 of your money. No, I didn't do that. I made connections. I built fucking bridges. I put Hex in front of fucking so many fucking people. Okay. As far as like HexCon, the first one, I was the motherfucker who saved the live stream for that. HexCon, the second one, I fucking attended that and helped Matty Allen get more of a fucking focus on it. I helped PulseCon 2022 immensely. Okay, so for you motherfuckers to talk all your shit, you don't know what the fuck I do in the background. And for you calling me a fucking clown, yeah, okay, I got the makeup on, got it. But I've done so much more to help your fucking bags. You guys are ungrateful and you should be on your fucking knees sucking my cock, talking
now you
your
sound
shit.
like Richard.
Well, no,
right,
real talk. That's bullshit. The fucking the stuff that they've been saying about me. So
you've had a little bit of a rough ride, but let's say just hypothetical. We got about 10 minutes left here. We might as well ride it out to the 2-hour mark. What do you think?
Sure.
Okay, so as long as we're talking about, Richard kind of stepping down as the CEO of Hex or whatever,
CEO,
hypothetically, right? As long as he's stepping down. So who's going to replace him? Who's the level-headed, calm?
There shouldn't be any. There shouldn't be anybody to replace him. We should just interact with the blockchain,
villain, right?
Yeah, that's like there should be a voting system to where if we want a representative that's going to essentially help, put this out to the masses, it should be voted upon. And then if that person becomes a nefarious player, they should be taken off and then somebody else replace them. So it should be a revolving door, just like, any government, right?
Like if you had your
like a democracy, term, if that makes sense.
You've had your 4-year term as the president of Hex, and now it's time for a re-election. And essentially, but if you had to pick one person, well, I'll just say, I honestly think I would pick Funding Jim. I think he's level-headed. I think he's calm. I think he's pretty connected and very diplomatic.
Nope. And you know why? I like Gary. Gary's a good guy. I've met him in person, but I don't think I think he has a very strong bias to Hex. And okay, sure, it's great, that he's out there.
Have to play politics?
Yeah, but he doesn't.
He doesn't want to get.
The thing is,
get kicked out.
Well, the thing is with Gary is like, again, I like him. He's a great guy, but I don't think. I just think he's just the type of person that, again, he toes the line because he also wants to be favorable, right? Sure, he's political in a way, but he toes the line. I want someone who doesn't toe the line. I want someone who sees it for what it is. And if we suck, I want him to say, hey, guys, we suck, right? And not because it's unpopular to say it, just because if it's the truth, we suck, right? I
see your point, yeah.
So I don't want somebody to just be like, hey, we're great. Hex is great. It has this, that. No, like, tell us we suck so we can fix it, right? I don't want somebody who wants to win a popularity contest. No offense, Gary. Again, I love you, bro, but you're all about popularity and building in that sense, right? You want to say favorable things. You don't want to be slaughtered by the beehive, right? Mm-hmm. But if I were to choose one person that isn't, I guess, on one side of the fence, Crypto Heartbeat. Crypto Heartbeat. Him or Rags to Riches.
Okay. One thing I want to ask you, I know you can't discuss what you talked about with SEC or what you know or what you don't know. I think you've been pretty generous with what you've told us. But can you answer this? Do you think Hex will be labeled as security?
depends on what was said in the background. So if there's a benefit from the work of others, you have to look at the Howey test, right? So like, if there's benefit from the work of others, if there was a marketing campaign, then maybe. And what could really jeopardize that is hexmerch.com. The reason why is because hexmerch.com has been, selling hex merch, making like $30,000 a month. They're selling hex merch while having and they're not supposed to be affiliated with Richard Hart. But how did they get access to the trademark and the copyright of all of the logos and shit?
Is there a copyright? Sure, there's a website.
Yes, there is.
It's probably copyrighted.
Yes, there is. And you know why I know that? Because when I spoke to Richard Hart, what he told me was, I was asking about like a film to be produced, because people were trying to do a documentary back before the highest stakes was even a thing. And I asked him, I was like, Richard, what is your take on, somebody making a documentary of Hex or a movie or something? And what he said was, as long as they speak to him first, because he owns all the copyright and trademark to Hex, the brand.
Okay.
So if that's the case, that means that hexmerch.com has access to the copyright and the trademarks. And if he allowed them to sell it, there had to be some business dealings in the background, which means there's a marketing campaign for Hex that is affiliated with Richard Hart, which would mean that there is expectations of the work of others to pump Hex, or the founder.
So you think that's the biggest sticking point that they have?
I think that's the most dangerous one. Okay. Now, it could be nothing. It could be a nothing burger, right? I'm hoping it's a nothing burger, because I don't want it to be a security.
Me either.
But that's what I see as the biggest threat. Now, as far as influencers getting paid, what jeopardizes Hexo and others, Richard Hart has retweeted people's wallet addresses when they're asking for donations for the legal funds, which could allude to him essentially it being a form of payment, because that kind of marketing to something that could essentially become funding for someone has value to it. So those people are essentially in jeopardy because of that. Again, could be a nothing burger, but that's the biggest threat I see.
Okay. Now, what about fraud allegations?
So there's something that's not being spoken about, where the USDC pool on Uniswap, there's a slow drip outside and going into Tornado Cash.
Yeah, big time.
Okay. Now, that's a big fucking problem, because there's money being dripped out on the other side. Right. There's
okay,
like
I'm not
$3 million
familiar with this. I know that Richard sent a lot of money he promoted Tornado Cash as like this great thing, and obviously he has devs to pay, and he can't have people tracking his wallets, so he needs some sort of a mixer. So he's always been talking about the mixer, and I was always wondering what's going to happen with those funds that went through Tornado Cash. But now you're saying there's some kind of a drip. Can you explain that? Because I'm not familiar with it.
So on Uniswap, the Hex USDC pair, right? There's not enough liquidity if everybody were to sell Hex right now, right? If everyone were to just sell their bags, there's not enough liquidity in USDC to pay it out. Okay. Apparently, from what I'm gathering, is that there is a slow drip that's coming out of the other side of the, in Uniswap and USDC, that's supposed to be, I guess, there for people to sell against, right?
All right.
And it's being taken out into Tornado Cash and distributed to whoever. Okay. That apparently is going on. Also, the sacrifice address, I think it's Pulse Chain sacrifice address, it paid out $26 million worth of USDC to a couple of wallets that were known dumping wallets of Hex. Now, I don't know who these people are. They could be devs. Who knows?
Right.
But it paid out $26 million to a bunch of wallets that essentially dumped Hex all at once.
What price range was this? What era was that in?
This was like during like the 40 cent 35, around that. Yeah. So that occurred back a long time ago. Now, could that allude to fraud? I mean, I don't know. I mean, technically, you sacrificed the money, so one can argue that he just used the sacrifice funds to do things, right?
Right.
So that wouldn't be fraud. It's sketchy. It's weird. To wallet addresses that were dumping hex all at once. It's weird.
Yeah.
Now, as far as that slow drip on the other side on Uniswap for USDC, maybe, because that essentially is you're using, or you're getting the money that people are putting in, kind of like what, let me not say too much crazy shit, but long story short, there should be enough USDC to cover everyone selling in that, right? In that liquidity pool.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, but I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Yeah. I think you stated your case. So anyways, we're coming up here on the 2-hour mark. I kind of want to stop it here. Before we go though, how do people get a hold of you? What's your Twitter, your YouTube? How can people get a hold of you and get more Joker?
So on Twitter, at Real HexJoker. Okay. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell everyone this, right? You're not going to get rid of me, no matter how hard you try. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you do. There's nothing you can say or do to stop me from telling the truth and to highlight things that are the other side of the coin. Whether or not it's debunkable, whether or not it makes sense or doesn't make sense, that's for all of you to decide. Okay. If you want to debunk it or, destroy the concepts that are being put forth, you're more than welcome to. It's not going to hurt my feelings. Okay. So at Real HexJoker, I will be here for a very long time, as long as there's breath in my body. And I will, where I'm at now is at Kick. So kick.com/the_Joker. You guys can go ahead and see me there, and we will have a lot of fun if you choose to, embark on the journey of being a crypto presence on that platform. And I'll tell you what, the more Hexicans I see in my chat, the more I'll talk about Hex, the more interest is generated. And I'll give you a little hint. I'm always recommended. I'm always on the front page, featured on their front page. So the more that I speak about this to people on a streaming site that is run by a gambling platform, right? People with money, it's better for the coin. So if you'd like to come and support me, it might do you some justice. If I don't see you on there, then maybe I won't talk about Hex and I'll just game or talk about other shit. But that's all for you guys to decide, right? You can help me on my journey in helping the new generation of Hexicans, or you could keep bitching on Twitter and keep talking your shit. And yeah, we'll see each other on that platform.
And remember, guys, why are we here? Why are we in crypto? Yeah, of course it's for mad gains, but censorship resistance, freedom of speech, this is all the crypto community's mantra. And I'm letting this guy talk. I know it's controversial. It might hurt my channel. I don't care, but I'm letting him talk because I'm not about censoring people, banning them. I think people should have the right to speak. And he did a great job. He took a lot of hard questions and took it like a champ. So check out HexJoker, check out Villain. And thank you for watching, guys. Like and subscribe if you want more content from me. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Take care. Much love. Thank you for having me.